Hey guys, Clem from clemsrecipereviews.com. Today I'm going to be testing out a pumpkin pie recipe. Since Thanksgiving's coming up as well as Christmas, I thought it'd be actually a good recipe to try. Now, pumpkin pie is a very, very traditional American dessert dish. To be honest with you, when I was growing up, I never saw pumpkin in any savory dish. The only time I ever saw it on the table was at pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. It's a very acquired taste if you don't like cinnamon or allspice, that kind of stuff. That sort of spicy, sweet flavoring, like it's in cinnamon rolls or something like that, this is probably not the pie for you. If you kind of like that kind of stuff, then it's probably worth a try. Pumpkin pie is it's almost like a custardy pumpkin tart, almost in a way, where it's got like a creamy filling with the pie crust. I am testing it out from a book called A Taste of America. If you're in Australia, you can get this on booktopia.com.au. I'm pretty sure I was able to find it on Amazon as well. Emphasis on it's A Taste of America, not The Taste of America. It's by Carol Clements, Laura Washburn, and Patricia Lusada. And it's a really informative book. There's a lot of recipes in here, so I'm pretty excited to be trying some of them out. But anyway, yeah, you should, if you can find it, go ahead, get it, buy it. I think I got it for maybe $10. But yeah, it seems like it's a pretty good book. Anyway, so moving on, the recipe does have a recipe for pastry crust, so we're going to start on that first, and then we'll go into the pumpkin pie filling. So pie crust is out of the oven. It's a light golden brown, actually very light. I didn't want it to burn too much, especially considering once the pie filling is in, it's going to be in the oven for about 40 minutes. So now we're going to start on the pie filling. So it calls for 1 pound or 450 grams of pumpkin puree or cooked pumpkin, or tinned pumpkin. I actually have made my own pumpkin puree. It was really easy to do. I used 1 butternut pumpkin and just cuts a little slits in within the skin and put it in a 160-degree oven whole for about an hour. And it actually has come out really, the seeds and all of the membrane and stuff came out really easily once I pureed it. That's it, done. 1 small butternut gave me about 450 grams, which, I think works out pretty well. You're welcome to try jack pumpkins or even the jack-o'-lantern pumpkins as well. I think that's actually what's used in the U.S. Everything else but those pumpkins is called a squash. So, but the butternut has got obviously a buttery, nutty flavor. And it's actually a bit sweeter, I find, compared to jack or Kent pumpkins. Anyway, so 450 grams of the pumpkin puree. If you find the Libby's pumpkin pie filling, which is, you can find them in fruit and veggie shops around Australia. Welcome to use that, but double check, because that actually could already be pre-seasoned with the spices you need. You might just need to add, you know, a couple of different ingredients in there. Also, the other thing is I'm pretty sure that tinned pumpkin actually does not have actual pumpkin in it. So if you're on a bit of a, you know, if you want to watch what you're putting into your body, you might want to check the ingredients as well. The other thing it calls for is cinnamon, ground ginger, and ground cloves. So again, if you are not really into those kind of spices, this is not the pie for you. Recipe also calls for golden, or they have in brackets, light corn syrup. Now, light corn syrup you can actually find here in Australia. I actually found it at a cake decorating shop. It's actually used to make modeling paste, where you can make those really pretty flowers that you see on some cakes. And as you can see, it is a very light flavor color compared to golden syrup, which actually looks like maple syrup. So if you're going to use golden syrup, don't expect the color of the pumpkin pie to be light. I think it actually will make it darker. I'm actually try that for the second test, you know, because this recipe book is actually really good. They give you the metric as well as the imperial measurements, and it does seem to say for ingredients to have an alternative. So, which is why they have golden syrup or light corn syrup if you can find it. Other thing it calls for is brown sugar, and then also it says whipping cream. Now, we don't have anything called whipping cream here in Australia, but whipping cream has, I think, about a 35% fat percentage content, which means it's probably thickened cream. Thickened cream, though, does have some additives to it, I think like glucose and not thickening agents, but things to bind it all together. So if you want to try it with pure cream, by all means, go ahead and try that as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going with the pie filling. So I've made the mix, and here I'll just show you how runny it actually is. So it is a pretty liquid-like filling. So I would assume that baking it and such would actually make it set. So I guess we'll see if that happens when we put it into the pie tin. Okay, so just going to pour it into the crust and we'll see just how much it actually makes, if it's the right amount or if it's actually too much. So you want to leave your edge of your pie shell above, and as you can see, yeah, it's definitely like shrunk a bit. I've also got a couple of crumbs of brown sugar in there. So yeah, it's actually made quite a good amount. There's really not much that's going to be wasted, which is good. So anyway, so that's going to go into the oven for about 40 minutes. I'll put the timer on and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so second test is done. It's the exact same method as the first test. This is pie 1, and this is pie 2. First observation is definitely the color. I mean, the first pie is a lot darker. It's also coming off the sides, so I think I may have overcooked it a little bit, but I don't think that means it's going to taste bad or anything. The second pie, I really can't say anything bad about it. I mean, it's a nice golden crust, and apart from the cracking, which I guess you may expect with pies like this, yeah, it looks pretty good. Why don't we go ahead and try and taste them? It's really good. Really super creamy. It's not too, I guess, dairy in a way. So it's almost like a nice, rich, custardy texture, but you don't taste the cream in it at all. I wouldn't even tone down, you know, the spices that are in it. I think it's actually a great, great combination. The crust is pretty short, so mine has actually crumbled quite a bit. I mean, it's fallen apart, but as also, if you see earlier in the video, it kind of cracked a bit when I put it into the pie shell, so it could actually just be me and my technique. Now, on to the second one. The second one is still pretty warm. I was pretty impatient to test it out. Now, I used golden syrup in the second one because the recipe said golden syrup, or in brackets, light corn syrup. I actually would stick with the light corn syrup because it seems the golden syrup kind of like emphasizes the spices, so it actually makes it a little too overbearing. For me, it's just past the limit. So I would definitely go with the light corn syrup, like I said. I wouldn't actually change anything here, besides maybe using your own go-to pie pastry crust, you know, for this recipe, just because this one's really short. But it actually really isn't that bad. It's not too sweet, it's not too savory, it actually complements the filling really well. You could even top it off with whipped cream, and I think it would just make it really, really good. Well, that's it for this episode. If you have any questions, you want me to test out a recipe for you, you can head to my blog. I'll also have